These 31 kitchen hacks from Grandma are so effective that modern chefs have long rediscovered them. And you'll wonder why no one told you sooner. Some save you time, others save entire dishes, but all change how you cook. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these genius kitchen hacks. And now have fun with the video. Mayo in scrambled eggs. Grandma secretly stirred a spoon of mayonnaise into the scrambled eggs. A simple hack with big effect. The result was silky soft, fluffy, and aromatic. The mayo brought fat and binding without being noticeable. Once you do it this way, you understand why the quiet ideas are often the best. Dust baking pan with sugar instead of flour. For cakes, Grandma never dusted the pan with flour. She used sugar, just sugar. And as the batter slowly rose, it caramelized on the outside into a fine golden crust. No hack from the internet, but experience. The edge became sweet, almost crispy, slightly glassy, like a silent promise. You bit into it, and the first impression was already the best. This hack is especially great for moist cakes, and once you've tried it, you'll wonder why you've done it differently all these years. Aquafaba instead of egg whites. Sometimes the art is in what others throw away. Grandma would never have carelessly poured the water from the chickpea can down the drain. She would have whipped it into snow, white, firm, shiny like real egg whites. 3 spoons of it replace 1 egg. It works in mousse, meringue, pancakes, and tastes neutral. But what matters is that it supports, binds, foams, all without chicken. This hack feels like an old kitchen secret, even though it comes from a can. And once you use it, you start seeing more in everything than just waste. Soy sauce in chocolate. A spoon of soy sauce in the chocolate batter changes everything. The sweetness remains, but underneath emerges depth, warmth, a hint of darkness. You don't taste any Asian touch, just more chocolate, mysteriously dense and round, invisible but noticeable. Just like in the old days when you recognized the perfect moment without saying a word. Oil on hands after cutting chili. After cutting chili, she rubbed her hands with oil, sunflower, canola, whatever was on hand. Not for care, but for rescue. Because capsaicin doesn't just burn in the mouth. It creeps into the skin, stays under the nails, and later the eyes burn as if you dreamed of pepper. But with oil, it's bound, held, rinsed off. Simple, clear, effective. So sharpness didn't become a mistake, but just part of the kitchen. Great cold butter. The butter didn't come in cubes but as shavings, straight from the freezer through the coarse grater, right into the flour. Each stroke brought small, cold strips, and those made the difference later. During baking, they melted, leaving tiny air pockets, layers, crunch. The dough became light, flaky, almost like from the baker, just with butter, flour, and feeling, and a grater that quietly told stories. Once you've done it, you feel it in your hands, and hear it in the first bite, how it crackles. Very quietly, but just right. Dry roast spices. A few seeds in the pan, dry, dancing, fragrant. Coriander, cumin, mustard. They became warm, round, alive. 2 minutes were enough. Then mortar, dough, goulash. Suddenly everything had depth. No recipe revealed that. But if you do it, you hear it, the quiet surprise when no one speaks at the table anymore. Freeze mozzarella for grating. Mozzarella is stubborn, soft, wet, tough. And yet you need it grated, finely distributed, golden brown melted. So she put it in the freezer first, not long, just long enough to handle it. Then the coarse grater, steady hand, even shavings. The cheese let itself be guided, no more tearing. On pizza, in casseroles, over pasta. Everything became more even, nicer, tastier. And once you've done it this way, you realize you can tame cheese. With patience, a reach into the freezer, and the right idea. It was that simple. Cook rice in coconut milk. The scent came already while cooking. Soft, round, a bit like sunshine. Rice cooked in coconut milk. The grains became creamy, shiny, almost seasoned by themselves. And once you've tried how well that goes with curry, mango, or just plain with some salt, you won't want it any other way. Back then, rice pudding was comfort food. Today, coconut rice is warmth with wanderlust. It turns a side dish into an experience, and a simple pot into a little getaway. Quiet, creamy, wonderful, almost like vacation in the kitchen. Ice cube and burger patty, an ice cube right in the middle of the patty. While frying, it melts slowly, soaks the meat from inside, keeps it juicy. Outside a crust forms, inside it stays soft. If you didn't have a thermometer back then, you knew how to help yourself otherwise. The thumb tested the heat, the cube held the juice, and suddenly it wasn't leftover meatloaf, but a burger with bite. Juicy, round, almost like from the summer grill spot. Just better, because it came from the pan and from a kitchen that understood the essentials. Mayo instead of egg for breading. When there were no more eggs, she just used mayonnaise. Spread thinly, almost tenderly, then into the breadcrumbs, lightly pressed, off to the pan. And lo and behold, the crust became golden brown. The core stayed juicy. The hack was simple but effective. The mayo held what the egg promised. And more, it brought flavor. A hint of fat, a bit of seasoning, a better result. Even vegetables became the star this way. Once you do it, you quickly notice. The simplest paths often lead to the best crust, and sometimes to empty plates. Pickle juice in potato salad. A spoon of pickle juice was enough, directly over the warm potato slices, and suddenly it smelled like summer, like garden, like family party. The acidity lifted the flavor, took the heaviness from the mayo, brought freshness into play. The salad got depth, became alive, balanced. Nothing was lost. Because in the kitchen, every drop that tasted counted. If you try it today, you quickly notice. It's not always the big ingredients that change a dish. Sometimes the water from the edge is enough. Cornflakes as breading, crushed cornflakes at the bottom of the box, not waste, but gold for the pan. They turn chicken, fish, or zucchini into a crust that crunches and tastes. A bit sweet, a bit roasty, wonderfully uneven. Once you've experienced it, you never look at cereal the same way. That's where the waste doesn't start. That's where the crunch begins. Freeze ginger, and then grate. Grandma just put the ginger in the freezer, without bag, without label. And when she needed it, she grated it directly over the pot. Hard, clear, aromatic. The scent rose, warm and sharp. A hint of Far East in a kitchen with coal stove. Frozen ginger let itself be guided like chalk on a board. It obeyed the grater, not the other way around. And once you've tried it, you quickly notice. This way, the aroma stays where it belongs. In the dish, not in the cutting board, not under the nails. Cover lasagna with aluminum foil. She always covered the lasagna with aluminum foil pulled tight, like a promise. Underneath, steam built, warmth, time. The noodles stayed soft, the layers connected, nothing dried out. Only at the very end did the foil come off. Then the cheese could bubble, turn golden brown, crunch, but never too soon. Because what gets pretty too fast often gets dry. This move was quiet but smart, and if you skip it, you notice right away. Top hard, bottom raw. But with foil, lasagna becomes what it should be. Warm, soft, connected, like a sundae. Baking powder for crispy chicken skin. A hint of baking powder on the skin, plus salt, paprika, marjoram. Then rest, cool, time. In the oven, the skin became crust, thin, golden, loud. Every bite cracked like autumn leaves. The meat stayed juicy. No one saw the hack, but if you know it, you understand. Crunch starts small, very quiet. Mustard and cheese sauce. Grandma stirred a spoon of mustard into the cheese sauce, as if it were the most natural thing. The cheese didn't become less, but better, stronger, clearer, livelier. The mustard didn't step forward, but it held everything together. It took the dullness from the heaviness, brought a little kick to the flavor, and suddenly what was just filling before became a real meal, with soul, with power. Once you try it, you won't want it without, like so much that Grandma just did. Soak onions in cold water. The onions came first, sliced, laid in rings, then into cold water. While the rest of the meal was made, they slowly drew out their sharpness. Grandma always did it that way. Not because it was written somewhere, but because she knew flavor needs time. In the end, the onions were mild, almost sweet, crunchy. It's just freshness with bite, and even those who otherwise didn't like raw onions reached for them. A move, 10 minutes, big difference. That's how memory tastes, and that's how it still tastes today. Grate Parmesan on popcorn. As soon as the popcorn was done, the cheese came. Freshly grated, still warm, fragrant. It didn't melt, but it stuck, on every kernel, every edge. Grandma wouldn't have called it a snack, but she would have nodded if you'd served it to her, because it just fits. The Parmesan brings depth, salt, a bit of dignity to the munching fun, and suddenly popcorn isn't kid stuff, but a real dish, small, loud, surprisingly good. Once you taste it, next time you don't grab the bag but the grater. Spread mayonnaise on fish. Before the fish went into the oven, it got a coat from Grandma of mayonnaise, thin, almost transparent, but effective. The fish stayed juicy, tender, protected. Outside a golden layer formed, all without breading. The mayo protected, seasoned, combined with heat and time. And what came out of the oven wasn't bland fillet, but a promise. Tender, fragrant, on point. If you think today fish needs butter or lemon by the liter, try it this way. Quiet, simple, surprising. How good cooking works. Cook potatoes in cream. When there was something special, the potatoes didn't go in water, but in cream. Layer by layer, seasoned, poured, baked. No broth, no fat film, but warmth. The cream combined with the starch became thick, soft, almost velvety. Every bite carried weight, but in a good way. Not heavy, but hearty. A meal that stuck, in the belly, in the head, in the scent from the oven. And if you want to know today how security tastes, start here, with a plate that does more than fill. Store silica gel with baked goods. When the baked goods were done, they went in the tin, airtight, but never alone. Grandma put a piece of sugar in, sometimes a linen bag with rice. Today, you use silica gel. Those little packets that otherwise sit in boxes keep baked goods dry, crunchy, awake. They take the moisture before it does damage. Invisible, but noticeable. Once you try it, you notice. Freshness isn't chance. It's planned, and sometimes it's in things others would throw away. Grandma would have understood, immediately, anchovies in bolognese. Before the ground meat went in the pan, tiny fish fillets melted in Grandma's pot. Anchovies quiet and invisible. They retreated, left no taste of sea, but one of depth. The sauce became fuller, warmer, somehow denser. No guest could say what was different, but everyone took seconds. It was this little hack no one noticed, but everyone tasted. The fish disappeared, the aroma stayed, and that was her way of cooking. Subtle, thoughtful, effective. A small echo in the spoon that lingered long. Vodka in pie dough. Grandma would have watched in amazement, but she would have recognized the effect right away. A shot of vodka in the dough, otherwise everything as usual. Butter, flour, cold hands. The alcohol evaporates during baking, but its effect remains. The dough rolls out easier, becomes tender, crumbly, crunchy when baked. No pulling when chewing, no resistance. Just crust like you hardly know anymore. Gold on the edge, hold for the inside. Once you bake this way, you understand. Sometimes a drop from the bottle brings exactly what Grandma did with feeling back then. Baking soda for quick onion caramelization. When it had to go fast, Grandma didn't grab the clock, but the idea. A pinch of soda in the pan, right with the onions. Nothing more. The heat did the rest. The rings became soft, sweet, golden brown, as if they'd had an hour. But it was just minutes. The scent rose, deep and familiar. For flatbread, for sauce, for the spoon in between. No hack from the lab, but quiet kitchen knowledge. If you know it, you save time. And if you taste it, you believe in magic, or in Grandma, almost the same. Zucchini and cake. In summer, zucchini grew faster than you could cook, so it went in the cake. Grated, quiet, invisible. Grandma mixed it into the chocolate batter as if it were the most normal thing, and the cake became juicy, soft, lasted days. The crumb was dense, not heavy, but velvety. One piece was enough, but you took two, because there was something in it you didn't see, but felt. Once you try it, you wonder why it's not in every recipe yet. Grandma would have just smiled. Of course, egg yolk and mashed potatoes. At the end, Grandma stirred in something more. No secret, just an egg yolk, right into the hot mashed potatoes. Quick, with steady hand. It bound everything, made the mass smooth, silky, almost elegant. The color became rich, the aroma round. You didn't taste it out, but you felt it. In the spoon, in the mouth, in the belly. A simple hack, but it turned side dish into a dish. From everyday to festive. And once you do it this way, you won't want it otherwise. Because it not only tastes better, but a bit more like home. Baking soda in cornmeal. When the corn porridge was on the stove, it had to bubble quietly, not stick. And be soft, really soft. Grandma wouldn't have spoken of grits, but she would have known how to stir them. A pinch of soda in the water, nothing more. The porridge became creamy, smooth, without grains, without sand in the bite. It flowed from the spoon like warm velvet. No lumps, no burning. Just patience and a little hack. If you cook this way, you cook for the belly, for warmth, for silence at the table, and sometimes for a second spoonful. Orange juice and banana bread. Ripe bananas lay in the bowl, next to an orange with soft peel. Grandma would have taken both, together, without hesitation. A splash of orange juice in the batter. Not much, but enough to make the bread brighter, fresher, less sweet, more alive. The acidity lifts the banana, makes it more awake. The result tastes like breakfast in spring. Juicy, fragrant, with a hint of sun. Once you bake it this way, you understand. It's not about the recipe, but the feeling, and about making something from leftovers that you break warm from the pan. Fish sauce in onion soup. A pot with onions, slowly stewed, almost black on the edge. Then a splash of fish sauce, barely visible but noticeable. The scent changes, becomes deeper, fuller, denser. From a simple soup becomes an honest dish with weight. The hack isn't in the fish, but in the umami. That's how the warmth tastes that stays. And if you think that's new, you've never seen how little sometimes changes everything. A pinch of baking soda in potato water. Even before the water really boiled, a hint of soda went in. Not much, just a fine hint that changed everything. The potatoes became soft even, could be mashed with one press. The mash came fluffy on the plate, almost whipped, no lumps or sticking. If you try it, you notice. This way, it's easier, faster, better. A small knack that shows good flavor often lies in the invisible. Quiet, but effective. And if you now think, I want more of that, then click subscribe so you don't miss any of these hacks that were once taken for granted and are almost forgotten today. Leave a like if something surprised you, and write your favorite knack in the comments. Grandma's Kitchen lives on, and you're part of it.